So again, you need to understand that this create employee URL that's being used here in the action is this one, is this create employee, but we are using the name. This is why we need to give a name to each URL, because whenever we want to use a URL, we are going to referring to it using its name. So this is a unique name to each of these URLs. You need to give it a unique name. This is why I have given this URL a name called create employee, and now in the form I can refer to it to use it using its name here, create employee. Now what we need to do is that we need to create the create employee function. So in the views, I'm going to create a new function here. I'm going to say def and then create employee, and it's going to take the request. Now the question is, how can we get the data from the form? So the user or you, any one of you is going to type here the name and the email and the title and the salary, and then click on create employee. And after you click on this create employee, what we want to do is that we want to transfer data from here all the way to Django and store it in the database. How can we do that? How can we transfer data from the form to Django? To do that, we need first to check the request method. So I'm going to say here if request dot method, if the request method is equal to post, because remember the form is using the post request. So we need to check whether the coming request is a post or not. So if it's a post request, then we can move on and get the data. Else we are not gonna do anything, because the request must be a post request. So in case the method is post, we need to get the data. How can we get the data? To get the data, we need to use the request dot post, all capital, and then dot get, and then the name of the field. So what are the names that we have given to these fields? So the names are name and email and job and salary respectively. So we need to access all of these. So I'm going to say here get, and then the first field is the name, which has a name of name. So I'm going to say name is going to be equal to request.post.get name. For the second field is the email. So for the email, I'm going to say email, and then it's going to be equal to request.post.get email. For the third field, we need to get the job. I'm going to say job. So for the job, I'm going to say request dot post dot get job. For the salary, it's just salary. So for the salary, again, it's request dot post dot get salary. And now we are good to go. Now we have all of these fields. Now what we need to do is that we need to create an object of the models. Remember, whenever we want to insert something in the database, we need to use this employee model. So we need to import that employee model here in the views. Here in the views, I'm going to say at the top here, I'm going to import the employees. I'm going to say from dot models, from the models, import the employee. We want to import the employee class. So from this models, we want to import the employee. Employee. The O is before the Y. Employee. Now we need to create an object of this. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to create an object of that employee. I'm going to say here employee is going to be equal to employee, a new object. And then we need to store the data that we got into this employee. So I'm going to say here I'm going to say employee dot name. The employee name is going to be equal to the name that we got from the field. For the email, we need to do the same. We need to say employee dot email. So for the employee email, it's going to be equal to the email that we got from the database, from the front end. For the salary and for the job first, the job is going to be equal to the job that we got from the front end. For the salary, salary. So for the salary, I'm going to say salary is equal to the salary that we got from the field from the front end. So what I did here is that I got all of these fields from the front end from the user, from this user, and then I created an object of that employee user into this new object, which is the employee here. I stored all of these data here in order to be inserted into the database. So the last step is to insert employee into database. That is the last step. So to insert that into the database, all we need to do is that we need to say employee dot save. That's it. This function is going to store that employee into the database. And we can return to the main page. We can here say return, and then we can redirect. I'm going to say redirect, and then I'm going to redirect to, let's say, the, what do we have here? We can redirect page, or you can redirect to the index. Let's redirect to the index. I'm going to say index. And make sure that you import the redirect function at the top. Here, make sure that you import this redirect. And in case the user here, in case the user did not use the post request, we need to say here return, and we need to redirect to the index in case the request is not a post request.